All right. All right, it's 12:02. I'd say let's get started. For those of you who joined, thank you. We have a great turnout, so we're pleased that many of you joined, and we'll get right into it. So we created this webinar for you, specifically IT pros and providers, on what we think you should know in telecom in 2025 to bring back to your clients, most importantly, and stay ahead of the curve. So why don't we just do some pleasantries, Will, and to go to the next slide, and we'll introduce who we are. I'll start. So my name is Vin Finaldi. Some of you might know me personally, some of you might not, but I've been doing this for, my God, almost 2 decades. I'm the vice president. I'm externally focused at our organization, working with referral partners and customers and things of that nature. And I'm glad to be here. So Matt, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Matt. I've been in telecom for about 15 years now, and I'm in charge of support and implementations here at TeleCloud. So I'll be the one making sure that the products and services we talk about today are delivered to your customers well.
Hey everyone, I'm Will Maddox, the digital marketing coordinator here at TeleCloud. If you have any questions, throw them in the Q&A and we'll make sure those get answered. And I'll be sending you a follow-up after the fact with a recording and some additional resources. And most importantly, I'll be manning the slides today, hitting this important next slide button.
Thanks, Will. All right. So at the end of this webinar, we said in our first email, I don't know if everyone noticed, but we're going to give out 3 delicious Wagyu steak from Snake River Farms. For those who are not familiar, it's like best in class meat. And we'll email you privately at the end who the winner was. We're the first 3 to sign up the webinar. We don't want to disappoint the whole group, but there will be 3 of you that'll be very happy. And make sure you cook it well because it's not cheap. um, Next slide. All right, so let's get into it. So we're going to cover kind of from a macro high level perspective, 5 talking points we thought would be valuable for you guys. First, AI. It's no longer experimental, it's strategic, especially from a telecom perspective. Number 2, the 800-pound gorilla, Microsoft Teams. What we're seeing, what our customers are asking for, where it's a fit and where it's not a fit for your customers as well. Is phone hardware dead? Is it officially just throw all the phones in the garbage and use software? Are we there yet? We'll cover some what we understand from a hardware and software perspective that customers care about and use. Technology advisors, don't let the wolf into the hen house. We'll cover that later in the presentation. And that's really to protect you from losing any market share with your existing customers. And lastly, what's in it for you? Our goal in being here is simply to be useful to your organization, be of value to you, and to let you know from a telecom perspective what you can gain by either working with us or working with other telecom suppliers out there. Next slide. So first and foremost, we wanted to start here. AI is no longer like a buzzword. It's pretty strategic. So in this slide, this was taken across, this was a survey done from a mid-market CTO perspective. So for mid-market customers, and naturally this trickles down to smaller businesses, IT investments, 58% of the time, there's budget and IT investment towards AI and machine learning, towards cybersecurity, towards improving the customer experience and cloud strategies. So there's a huge, huge opportunity for all of us that customers want, need, and care about where they're going from an AI perspective. Naturally, telecom plays a role in this. It's not obviously all encompassing because AI is such a big topic, but first and foremost, this is a huge opportunity for everyone on this call to be more valuable to your customers too. Next slide, Will. So here's what we wanted to cover from a telecom perspective. Again, keep in mind, this is going to be macro, high level. We're not going to get too much in the weeds and do any demos on this call. But what we're finding is this. A lot of businesses are testing out, exploring 3 areas of AI. First is called agentic AI. And that's where, the main numbers or the service lines forward to an agentic robotic system, and the machine can service the customer 24/7, whether it's frequently asked questions, uh, appointment scheduling, just giving the customer the information without a human, but obviously with a language AI agentic system. We did find that this is very new. So we're actually noticing customers testing it out, being not happy with the result and going back to a more traditional telecom setup. So I would say it's very new, but it also is very opportunistic in that in 5 years, it'll be everywhere. But right now it is on the newer side, and there's a lot of suppliers popping up out of nowhere that you probably never heard of. But agentic AI is very real and very important. Um, Next is conversational data. So companies like us and your customers, they've most of them always wanted call recordings. So, hey, I run a service business or I'm in, whatever industry they're in, healthcare, service trade. It's very natural to want the calls recorded for quality assurance and things of that nature. So, what AI has helped doing is it's taking that phone conversation, it's actually making it much more useful with extreme accuracy, with tone and nuance. So, you can actually know if a customer is unhappy. Um, from text transcriptions, which could dump into their line of business software. So I would think of conversational data as call recording on steroids with an AI overlay to it. Really powerful technology and really useful for customers. And the third area I'm going to have Matt discuss. And then last thing, and from a conversational data perspective and AI insights, it's keyword trigger alerts, which is huge depending on the industry you're in. So Matt, why don't you touch base on that with the AI insights side of the conversation?
Yeah. Yeah. So the basics of AI insights is going to be that your AI is your all-seeing quality assurance manager, right? And providing insight to all levels of the business. So on a frontline worker level, the insights dashboard would provide insight into better coaching, how they can be better on the phone. On a supervisor or manager level, it's going to show them who their better agents are on the phone and why. And on an ownership level, it's going to give a holistic view of the whole business, right? And as Vin said, the keyword triggers and flags that are happening in those conversations are going to be able to notify you, advance notification, and tell you what's going on those calls so that you get warning signs earlier. We've talked to some companies that are using some of these features right now. They were able to identify customers that were churning just through the conversational data through the AI Insights dashboard. So it all kind of pairs together.
Yeah, that's really useful. And then just to shed light for yourself and more education, the technology was typically available on an enterprise contact center perspective. So the business that would want it typically had to be mid-market or enterprise because of the budget reasons. So what's incredible with these layers of technology is they're going to be affordable even for small business. And when I say small, I mean businesses, in that 25 to 100 person size companies that so many of us service and so many of our businesses are built around them. So what used to be an enterprise contact center, very, very big business, big supplier is now going to be available and affordable on what I would call the smaller business level. Will, why don't you flip it over to the next slide? Teams calling. So this is jokingly, everyone knows on this call. I'm sure many of you in this call are very, very competent with Microsoft suite of services because you're IT professionals. So in our lane, which is the telecom component, you've obviously seen the calling application. So what we're finding is a lot of customers are asking us, "Hey, can you integrate your stuff to Microsoft Teams for calling, desktop calling, mobile calling?" And the answer is, of course. Candidly, any VoIP provider worth their salt can deliver that technology. So that feature has been available for 3 4 5 years now. It's really common. But more importantly, Matt, what I want to address is what's the difference between a customer integrating with their Teams calling, which a company like us does on a weekly basis, versus going directly to Operator Connect, which is leaving the provider ecosystem and going to the Microsoft ecosystem?
Yeah, so Operator Connect, you're going to be on the full Microsoft PBX, which means that if the customer doesn't have an in-house person to manage that, and your MSP business doesn't have somebody who's familiar with managing that, probably going to have a pretty rough time, right? Unless you pick somebody who's going to handhold you all the way there. But most of the people that you're going to see listed on the Operator Connect page are pretty large companies that are scaled and don't offer a white glove service like a TeleCloud would to an end customer that's having trouble with their PBX solution. So that's going to be the main difference you're going to get there is the level of handholding on issues in the PBX is going to be quite a different quality from the SIP integration.
Sure. Thanks, Matt. And one thing to add with any of your customers that want Teams calling, integration, what we do find is it's easier for the end user because it's one app. So they already have the app on their phone for messaging, email, calendar. So it's easier because the adoption rate's higher because they don't need to download and manage an alternative app from said VoIP provider. So there is an easy use component that we do think is really good for most end user customers. If they're willing to pay the extra Microsoft licensing fee, as you all know, which is like $8 a phone license with Microsoft. So the customer does have to incur more licensing fees, which if you've ever dealt with a small business is not always the easiest pitch in the world because SaaS just never ends. But it is definitely a strong use case, and we do think there's the adoption rate is going to keep going up and up over the years. Will, next slide. Is phone hardware dead? So when COVID hit, we're like, oh my God, is this the death of phone hardware? Like everyone's working from home, web phone, mobile calling. And shockingly, the answer is no. Um, as you know who your customers are, but certain industries still are heavily phone hardware users. Retail environments, go to any retail store. There's going to be phones at the front line workers, manufacturing, which is typically like, 50 to 100-year-old buildings with overhead paging, with door mates, with kind of what I would call more traditional workers. So huge in manufacturing to have phone hardware, warehouse, healthcare, especially. You go to the local urgent care or you go to your pediatrician, you always see the 2 to 4 people at the front desk with the phones. So that's still heavy, still widely adopted, hotels and transportation. So we're so closely connected to this. Phone hardware purchases is decreasing for sure, but it's certainly not dead. And it's there's use cases for very different vertical markets to still have some hardware. Next slide, Will. So software that matters. So naturally, because it's such a large number of subjects, we're not going to show you the actual technology itself. But from an education standpoint, mobile suite technology is huge, whether it's the mobile play, whether it's Microsoft Teams calling or mobile 3.0. Web phone suites for remote workers or hiring offshore employees, which is so popular now, whether you do nearshoring in El Salvador or offshoring in the Philippines or India. So a lot of our clients we're seeing in IT partners are rolling out web phones for out of the country communications. Line of business software integrations. This is huge. All your customers rely on certain softwares to run their particular business, and opening up that line of business software to the telephone system for integration, for click to dial, for screen pops, for dumping the call logs into the notes. Really practical and really helpful. SMS. So text messaging and MMS messaging is becoming very popular within the UCaaS services. So your customer, while they might have a traditional phone on the desk and some software, they're now requesting from us, hey, enable my business numbers to receive text messages. So that's a whole nother line of business that is very popular, that a lot of customers are asking for. And Matt, why don't you give an example of the call center and how critical we find that for specific clients as well?
Yeah, I mean, call center is still a very valuable topic. What we see a lot of people coming from on traditional systems are sort of these hunt group scenarios where they're not getting a ton of reporting data. Our system at a base level is going to give them a ton more information on what's going on in their call center, whether they call it a call center or not, or whether they refer to their people as agents or not. We can give them a lot more detail of the full story of the call. And then when you pair that in with the AI suite, when you pair that in with AI insights, you get a whole different level of reporting data that customers currently don't have on their prem systems or on their legacy UCaaS systems. So
Yeah, well said. And we're finding it's shocking how many successful businesses miss opportunistic inbound calls, miss voicemail callbacks, miss keyword trigger alerts because it was never really easily available. And now for that said business, all this information is just at their fingertips. So they can actually impact their company, increase revenue, just run a better organization just with these type of tools. Next slide, I will. So this was a little bit half joking, but not. So technology advisors don't let the wolf into the hen house. So we recognize nothing is more valuable to you than your end user customer. And the same goes with us. Like at the end of the day, our customers are our gold mine. They're the most important thing that keep our pay the bills and give us opportunity. So we understand that. So if you go to the next slide, Will, I'm stating the obvious that many of you IT professionals know, but a technology advisor is 90% of the time going to be a solopreneur or a very small agency where they're going to sell into your customers. Half the time they're going to try to sell UCaaS or telephony solutions, but a third of the time they're going to be selling other services like cybersecurity, like cloud storage, connectivity, things of that nature. So we're just stressing it to you that even if you on this call don't care about telecom, don't think about it much, it's so important that you control the narrative with your end user customer, you deliver the value, and you're the one, whether you offer it directly or you have partners, you want to be having this conversation about teams, about AI, because if someone else does, they're naturally going to be trying to cross sell probably your stuff to try to capture more revenue for them. So I know this is stating the obvious. Just be aware who your customer is talking to. Next slide, Will. So what's in it for you? So all we try to do is deliver great services to end user customers, and the IT partners we do have, we obviously want to have a great working relationship with. So the one area we offer our IT partners is if you haven't, like, let's say your marketing department has sent no valuable information about telecom, it could be useful to you. So what we offer IT partners is like a toolkit where if you're going to do a few emails for education to your customers, it could be what's included in a telecom bill audit, or how do I know if my telecom system is operating properly and supported properly. So all that we offer. So and we do it non-branded. So we're not trying to say, hey, take our logo and email your 100 best customers. We're clearly not that selfish or naive. So it's something we could offer you in a non-branded solution to offer. You can offer value to your customers, and then you could obviously select which partner you want to help you with it. The other is obviously passive referral commissions. It's an easy way to scoop up some extra money. In the market, telecom companies like us and in the market pay for referrals and pay for introductions. So that's very common. And if you want to hear more about that, well, we're happy to discuss it. And the other is the telecom skill set. Because of the nature of telecom, it used to be a little easier the industry, but now the knowledge base is wide and deep when it comes to like AI, Teams integration, the SMS suite, the call center suite, the hardware component, installation component for on-site deployments. So there's a lot of niche skill sets that go into be a telecom provider that if you haven't taken the time to scale or to learn, it helps to offshoot that to somebody else if you're not focused on it. So that was sort of that's what we wanted to cover. So are there any questions? We're happy to have an open dialogue. Are there any questions, Will, in the chat that we can address?
Yeah, so we got a few good questions. The
Cool.
first one is, how do we know out of the thousands of agentic AI startups out there, how do we know if they're reputable? And most failed agentic AI deployments typically lack company-specific and user-specific training, which can often be due to cybersecurity concerns. But are there any tools that we or the industry are offering to deploy private agents that don't share outside the primary business client?
So, Matt, why don't you address part of that, which is
Yeah, that's actually two separate questions. So I'll address the first one first, which is how do you know who's reputable and who's not? It's really going to be a matter of your interactions with that company, what their onboarding looks like. Um, if they're just going to hand you software and say, figure it out, you're not going to have a great experience. You're probably not going to onboard very well with them, and your agentic AI is probably not going to work very well, right? So there's a lot of steps involved here in making sure that your prompting's right, making sure your knowledge base is right, making sure that all the things on the back end when you're onboarding with these providers is right so that you have a good outcome in the end.
thanks, Matt. And to add to it, this is what we're finding similar to in 2010 when VoIP providers popped out of the woodwork. So in 2025 or 2024 alone, 2,000 AI tech startups have come with VC-backed PE money. So what that means is they don't all do telecom, but there's going to be hundreds of suppliers out there that are going to say, oh, forward your calls to our amazing agentic AI system. And what we're finding is this: if your customer is forwarding their main business from Google listing on their website to a separate agentic AI system, the issue is it's not integrated to their current telephony platform. So the agentic AI does a component well, but it doesn't do everything well. So what we're finding is the best solution for most businesses are going to be an agentic AI system that's also the telecom UCaaS provider. So it's one platform. So you get all the normal telecom services and support in addition to the agentic AI. So right now they're two separate providers, which is causing a lot of client dissatisfaction. So we've actually taken on a lot of clients that hired AI too soon, and the customers couldn't get back to the corporate PBX because the call routing was so crappy and inefficient. So with that being said, we deeply believe in agentic AI, and we believe it's going to be extremely commonplace over the next 1 to 5 years. But we're still early. That's my humble opinion. Will, what else was asked in the chat?
You kind of touched into that second question of what are the common reasons that agentic AI fails, but more importantly, are there any tools that we or the industry offer to deploy private agents, making sure that those agents are contained and operating properly?
Matt, you want to tackle that one?
Yeah. So as far as, let me read the question again one more time here. So there's going to be a few different ways to go about offering private agents, or maybe not so much private agents, but more industry specific agents, right? So training on, let's say, medical practices, the agentic AI will have a stronger background in that field rather than more generalized AI. So that would be the approach that we would look at going first, is getting very specific with the prompting to the agentic AI that is industry specific, and then giving people access to that in that industry.
Thanks, Matt.
Mhm.
And we have one more question I see.
What is your recommended manufacturer for headset and phone hardware, specifically for appointment setters and people making a high volume of calls?
It's a great question. We are a Yale Inc. and Poly shop. So Yale Inc. and Poly pretty much dominate the entire market. So for end users, there's a whole array of hardware and headset selections. Within Yale Inc. and Poly alone, just there's a plethora of handsets, headsets. It's like a Chinese menu. You just kind of pick what you want based on the use case.
Yeah, I mean, adding on to what Vin's saying, it really comes down to end user preference, right? You have dual headsets like Vin has on, or mono headsets like I have on, wired, wireless. There's so many options out there today. It's really a end user preference type of deal, but um, happy to look at that on a use case basis and figure out what's best.
Cool. And to wrap it up, I would encourage you to do this for those of you who know us well or kind of don't know us that well. Feel free to reach out, drop us an email at sales@telecloud.net if you want what we call a non-branded toolkit. It's basically a few different communication threads you could send to your customer. It'll be non-branded, but it'll touch upon how have you audited your telecom bill? Have you audited your telecom system? Are you AI enabled on your telecom? So it's going to be a few different things you could choose from if you want to send a proactive outreach to your customers and start having those conversations, kind of in the spirit of getting ahead of it and not being reactive to some technology consultant trying to sell UCaaS and cyber, and everyone kind of gets upset. But on that note, thank you so much for your time. This is great. And we'll be in touch. Have a great Thursday. Thanks, guys. Any closing words, Will or Matt, or just adios?
I like
Yes, thanks for
adios.
joining. Hope you liked my beautiful presentation.
Thanks. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.